Namaskar, dignitaries present in this function, and all the students who are there from these two colleges, Dr. B.R. Soor and Nehru Homeopathic Medical College. First of all, I'm very thankful to Ministry of Ayush, Government of Delhi, and Homeopathic Board, Government of Delhi, as well as the two colleges to invite me to share my thoughts. As you have just now pointed out, antimicrobial resistance has become one of the major threats. WHO actually identified it as a serious problem many years back, following which many declarations were made. Chennai Declaration was probably the most, I would say, strong in terms of putting the things in perspective and then working on antimicrobial resistance, which all of you must be aware is occurring when the antimicrobials, many of the microbes, and we have resultantly superbugs which cannot be treated by anything. Or Chennai Declaration resulted or culminated into antimicrobial resistance trust, which is called AMR, and it is AMR Declaration Trust in the other words, and that has been created by Dr. Abdul Ghafoor, who is a very senior infection specialist based in Chennai and working with Apollo Hospital and many others. I happen to be on the board of advisors of AMR Declaration Trust, and that is how I am in a position to get a perspective of the whole thing. In the AMR Declaration Trust, I am probably the only non-allopathic person interacting and trying to find solutions. Rest all are connected with the allopathic field or the modern medicine field. And my involvement with the AMR Declaration Trust is due to the fact that I am always talking about finding solutions through Ayush and integrating allopathy and Ayush. As you are all very well aware, last year, possibly 1.2 to 1.3 million people died due to antimicrobial resistance. And probably this number is higher than the number of people that died due to malaria or due to HIV/AIDS. This number is going to increase significantly. And it is also feared that countries like India and other developing or poor countries will be suffering more for the simple reason that infection diseases burden is quite high in our developing nations. Well, there have been many other investigations of late, and it is found that it is not only due to the medical fraternity or medical community that the antibiotics are consumed irrationally or they're abused irrationally. When you look at the things holistically and in perspective, it is now noticed that 70% of antibiotics are consumed by veterinary sector and agricultural sector across the world. And you'll be definitely tempted to ask, why does the veterinary world or why do the people in the agriculture use antibiotics? We are told now, after say maybe many surveys, that it is because of the drive, because of the push for increasing the output of meat or the dairy or the other produce, that antibiotics are given. And these antibiotics obviously go as traces into many of the things that we consume, starting with dairy products onto the meat or most of the vegetables. And finally, they make us resistant to most of the antibiotics. Well, when you look at the microbes or microbial domain or microbial world, we have got bacteria as one of the most dominant class, but then we also got virus, and then we have got fungi and protozoa and things like that. When it comes to antibiotics, we are all knowing very well that antibiotics work only on bacteria. There isn't much that we can do about the virus. And antivirals that are available are hardly giving us a cure. They are just giving us some symptomatic relief. Flu is, say the commonest of the viral problems that we know, and we are well aware as to what is happening to flu. We can talk about herpes, we can talk about many other viral problems, and we'll find that in allopathy, antivirals are really not very sustainable and effective. And above all, they are not affordable either. Well, the vaccines and the other variants of it are the ones which are supposed to be giving us relief. And as you know, my preceding speaker told us that it was due to probably vaccines that we found a solution. So when we look at the solutions that are available, they are not going to be readily available. I am reminded of the conditions that were prevalent at the time of Samuel Hahnemann, who saw that the conventional system of medicine was really not rational. Very same thing seems to be happening today, where we are finding many of the practices really not logical and rational. And that is where we have to now put all the solutions from the various streams of sciences together in a manner that we are able to resolve the issues that we're facing now or tomorrow cost effectively and in a timely manner. When we look at Ayush, which is so obviously having Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha on one hand and homeopathy, we will be able to find that there are many ways in which infections can be controlled, infections can be reduced, infections can be mitigated, and infections can be treated. I would not like to talk about Ayurveda in this particular forum, but I would certainly like to say that homeopathy is eminently placed. First of all, let us look at the viral problems. I think of all the medicinal systems, homeopathy is the best for viral issues. Whether you look at, say maybe throat infection, you look at the urinary tract infections, or you look at the other kinds of viral issues, we will find homeopathy to give antiviral solutions to us, which are going to be healthy and which are going to be sustainable. Second thing that we find, and that is what is required to be done, is to look at the variants of vaccines, which say we call as nosodes, to be developed by homeopathy. Vaccines, as we know very well, are biological substances which are attenuated, diluted, dried, or no say dead, and then they are no say packaged together to give a kind of an inoculation to the body so that we are in a position to build the specific resistance or specific immunity against the microbes. I guess nosodes have to be rebranded as homeopathic vaccines, and they should be now reinvented and given to the world, because viral problems will continue to mutate, and therefore we will have to find out some solutions which will be cooked, quick, affordable, and which will be easy to deliver. I mean, as say maybe orals, or as say you may say room temperature kind of vaccines. So in my opinion, homeopathy has got a great role to play in viral issues. It has got a great future in homeopathic vaccines or nosodes. Now, third thing that I would like to say is that in the veterinary field, homeopathy has delivered wonderful results. And therefore, in cows, cattle, or buffaloes, and things like that, we will have to look at solutions through homeopathy, which has been very well, I would say, tested, approved by IVRI, that is Indian Veterinary Research Institute in Bareilly, and it has been put in the field by many of the dairies, including Amul. So veterinary use of homeopathy has to be promoted in a very big way. Fourthly, I'm aware about some work going on, even agro-homeopathy. I would not like to talk about that, but let me tell you that by use of homeopathy, organic production, organic cultivation of many of the food items, vegetables and fruits is feasible. So these are the kinds of things that are clearly in front of us. But let me be honest with you that we have to be as scientific and as rational and as say transparent as our honored Samuel Hahnemann, whose birthday we are celebrating. And therefore, we have to accept that we will have to build evidences, we will have to build kind of a confidence in the people who are our prospective customers. Many of you may not be aware that at this point of time, we do not even have in our country new drug and clinical trial rules for homeopathy. There is NTCTR for allopathy. There is NDCTR for Ayurveda, Unani, and Siddha, but there is no NDCTR for homeopathy. Until and unless we have a framework which is really objective, which is rational, and which is in tune with the principles and science of homeopathy, we will continue to suffer the kind of criticism and kind of derogation that is put on to the homeopathy by many other people. So in my opinion, we need to do two things. One is to build a framework for new drug and clinical trial rules, and secondly have clinical trial you can say offices or companies or in departmental companies which can do this, and by doing all these things we will be able to come up with new formulations which will tackle the new challenges. So in nutshell, we have a very bright future, and I'm very, very happy to be present today on the birthday of great Saint Samuel Hahnemann, who has given us a new direction to lead a healthy and a sustainable life. Two more comments that I would like to share with you. One, we are today talking all the while about climate change, and therefore we are looking at something that will reduce the global warming. I personally believe homeopathy is ideally suited and ideally placed to give us a climate resilient and a climate friendly world. It is green because it requires obviously very little energy, very little materials. It is clean. It does not, say require much of, paraphernalia which can cause pollution. It is environment friendly. And last but not the least, homeopathy is a health, boosting treatment system. And when we look at the global situation, when we look at obviously, say the other countries, we find over 100 of them are already accepting, have got practitioners and users of homeopathy, and India can, with its numbers, with its infrastructure, with its capability, it can certainly take the leadership position in the field of homeopathy in the whole world. On this auspicious day, I would like to say that we also need to work towards proving to the scientific community and the world that less can be more, less is more, and that is the way in which we can lead a sustainable and a healthy life, which will be good for all of us to meet the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, who talks about lifestyle for environment, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, and a completely sustainable development. Thank you very much once again for giving this chance to share my thoughts. Thank you.